The following is a Hoop Ball presentation.
Hello and welcome to the Hoop Ball NBA DFS Today podcast. Today is Wednesday evening, October 23rd, and we are going to be going over the three-game slate for Thursday, October 24th. I am Joe Sarvati, affectionately known as Coach, and I am joined by the Kyrie Irving loving shark of the industry, Mr. Mike Apotria.
Oh, coach. Yeah, man. I mean, I'm enjoying that call. I don't want to toot my horn or anything. Saying Kyrie Irving's gonna have a good game isn't really a bold call by any means, but a lot of our guys. I mean, we're looking at it. You know, Drummond, Kyrie. Those are two guys I have in just about. I would say about 80% of my lineups tonight, and you know they're doing well for me. So, right now we're recording this around 10 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, and I'm looking at a few of my value plays who aren't really where I want them to be. Maxi Kleber, I was high on him. He only took one shot from the field so far. Played 14 minutes, so that's something I would like to see a little bit more from. But you know, I'm not going to complain when you get a combined almost like what are we looking at, like 160 points close to, or 150 points between two players. So. Yeah, I mean, I'm counting it right now. Hopefully, I have a nice little sweat. We had some value open up late, and you know, let's just keep it rolling, Coach. Man, I think we got a good thing going. Big shout out and thank you to everybody who's been rating and reviewing us. It means a lot to us. It's kind of what keeps this content free. And let's just keep this grind going, man. How are you doing tonight?
I'm doing great. I mean, I love the fact that Drummond was our top play, and he just came in with a casual 32, 23, 2, 4, 3, and oh, by the way, 5 blocks. So it's like, what? I mean, it's beautiful, man. That's a beautiful thing. And I know you're riding high on this overtime game with Cat and Kyrie. That's awesome. I'm going to have a late night hammer sweat big time because I've got, the game I've been focusing on. I've got a combination of 4 guys in that game in several lineups here with Fox and Bagley and Booker. And who's my 4th guy? Yeah, let's see. Booker, Bagley, Fox, and Oubre Jr.
Oh.
So I've got all kinds of action in this late game that'll hopefully get me over the top. But, yeah, we had some great calls for sure, and some guys that, were a little shaky. I given a little shout out to Jonathan Isaac, and he was super disappointing. Just, only took like 3 shots for the whole game. I'm sort of mind-boggling there. But, we're going to hit on some and miss some, that's for sure. Tyler Hero, I went berserk on, and he's only got 9 points, but he has 8 rebounds, which is decent. But I was certainly expecting a lot more from him. But, we're going to hit and miss on a few of these guys. But as long as we can keep these break the slate guys in our lineups, like Drummond and Irving and Cat and stuff, we're going to be okay. But all right, real quickly here before we get going, we want to thank our presenting sponsor, Fantasy Draft. They're the only rake-free fantasy site in the industry. Definitely get in their daily games. They have a $30,000 pick and roll contest guaranteed each day, and a $7,500 layup contest also guaranteed. And again, you cannot beat the rake free. It saves you a ton of money. You'll spend double at least or more on rake with the other sites. So jump on there, fantasydraft.com, put in the promo code HoopBall, and get your free week and roll with it, man. All right, let's blow into this 3-game set. There's a 7, 8, and 10:30 game Eastern time on Wednesday night. The first game is the Atlanta Hawks, Detroit Pistons.
All right, and this is a game that obviously we got to look at very closely because Detroit is playing on a back-to-back. Obviously, Drummond just went absolutely bonkers tonight, and I'm expecting the same thing tomorrow in this kind of matchup. So I'm going to go right back to the well on this. I expect them to be extremely high-owned. I don't really care on a 3-game slate when you have Drummond going against the Hawks. Reggie Jackson, I did want to touch on this, left the game early due to back spasms or some sort of back injury. Looked to be in some pretty good amount of pain. He was laying on the floor. He actually had to get helped to the floor to lay down. Then he left the game early. And we did kind of see Derrick Rose have quite a game tonight, turning back the clock a little bit. And I'm not going to just jump back into that Rose well, though, because it is a back-to-back, and they did try to limit his minutes tonight, knowing it was a back-to-back. And I kind of expect middling minutes from him again tomorrow. Right. So I do think we'll have some better point guard options as far as, on the slate. So I wouldn't knock you if you want to play Rose, but after seeing Reggie Jackson get hurt and knowing that he had a great game, I expect some ownership to be drawn to him as well. So looking at this Detroit side of the ball, my main focus is going to be Andre Drummond again. We're going to get him at a little bit of a depressed salary, just knowing that a lot of the salaries came out before this monster game happened. So I'm going right back to the well, Coach. Yeah. I'm expecting you to do the same.
You know what? I'm a little bit afraid on a back-to-back this early in the year and Drummond putting out that kind of an effort. I'm just not sure, man. I think that my value play tomorrow is going to be Christian Wood. I think he will get 25 to 30 minutes. That's just a gut feeling. And, check with us tomorrow because I may change my tune on that. But I'm just a little bit nervous, with even a Derrick Rose on a back-to-back right at the beginning of the season like this. Luke Kennard's another guy. He dropped 30 tonight. How about that, man? That's crazy. But
a wild game for him. Great shooting.
It's hard not to want to take Detroit because Atlanta's the number one pace team in the league last year, and I get it. But I just, the back-to-backs are terrifying to me. So to be honest, I'm probably going to use Wood as a value play, one of my better value plays tomorrow. And then I'm going to look more, on the Atlanta side of the ball. I think that Detroit's going to have tired legs and be playing a lot of subs. And, for that reason, I'm going to be focusing on Trae Young and John Collins and spending up for those two guys. Also read that Cam Reddish was going to start, but may have some limits on minutes. So something to keep an eye on there. The minutes restriction is a little nerve-wracking, but certainly a guy that is in my, future lineups for sure. But I'm going Trae Young, John Collins, and a little backup Christian Wood.
I like the Young call. I like the Collins call. Just saying it, I'm not ready, in your season-long leagues necessarily to drop Wood just because we know his point per minute upside and we know what he can do. But just the lack of minutes that they even, if there was a game that he was going to get minutes, I thought it was going to be this one with the Pacers front court playing pretty large. Sabonis had a great game. Turner played okay. But Markieff Morris is healthy, and that's the one thing I think that's going to factor into Christian Wood's minutes. And I just don't think they're going to play him over Morris. Not at this point, not unless Morris, and it is a back-to-back, and he was coming into the game questionable, so maybe that does factor in. So if we get some news on it, that'll kind of change my tune. But if Morris plays, I just can't see myself really going to Wood unless it's like a GPP. I know you're a cash game guy, Coach.
Right.
I don't think I could trust him in a cash game, knowing what we just saw from him. It's very volatile. One game he's putting up 40, 50 DraftKings points in 23 minutes. The next he's playing 5. So
it's a monster risk reward.
Absolutely.
And I'm gonna chew on it overnight, but it could be a slate breaker. I've done it with him before when he was 1% owned or 2% owned, and he threw 35, 38 fantasy points on the board. But again, it's so tricky. I'm shocked that the NBA. I just don't know why they even do that. I mean, the first 2 games of the year and they play on a back-to-back. Really seems unnecessary, but it is what it is. What are you going to do?
Yeah, and you want to talk about unnecessary. Let's look at how the Clippers opened up their 2 first games against the Lakers and then Golden State. That's almost a little, that's got to be a little bit of planned action by Silver and whoever's over there making those, making the schedules early on. You got to figure that they maybe knew something was going on. But
little jab in the side. Huh? I love it.
Yeah, man. I mean, I love it as far as just good basketball. Who doesn't want to watch two games like this coming out into the the opening of the year? But that's kind of where I'm at with those guys. Kevin Huerter is expected to play. He's probable, so I think that's going to kind of keep me off that Reddish. If we knew he was sitting out, I would have some interest in Reddish, knowing that he's going to get a little extra run maybe at the 2. But even if Huerter plays 18, 20 minutes, that's definitely going to cut into Reddish's upside and exactly how many minutes he's going to see. So I think I'm okay. We are going to be searching for value on this slate, knowing how many studs we have to choose from between Harden, Curry, Drummond, Giannis. So we are going to be searching. I would say you pretty much need two of those 4 guys in all your lineups if you have any chance of cashing. I do get the Reddish call. I don't completely disagree with it. I just don't see myself necessarily going there.
I'm not recommending Reddish. I just wanted to I actually am going to fade him because of which you exactly said. I think they're going to split minutes. But my point was, I thought it was interesting that Reddish was named the starter, and that, had a limits restriction. I didn't want anybody to jump on that and think the guy was going to play 38 minutes or something. But I'm with you on that one, man. It's especially on a 3-game slate. You can't take that risk of taking a 7-point fantasy guy or your whole slate's dead. So no, I'm with you, man. All right, let's hit game 2. What an exciting game. Milwaukee at Houston. Guns ablaze on this one, man. What do you think?
Oh, I mean, it's you got to look at the first thing you do is look at Harden and Giannis. Yes, Bucks are a fantastic defensive team, but Harden is Harden. There's no doubt about it. He's in play. Yeah. We've been riding him just in the preseason, looking at these 40-point preseason games, and I definitely think I'm going to have some exposure to him. I think you're crazy if you just want to fade him. There's no reason to. So, but again, it's gonna all depend on what kind of value we're getting in there. And one of the other plays I'm looking at on the Rockets for my value is going to be PJ Tucker. I mean, he's going to have to play a boatload of minutes in this kind of matchup. Yes, he's not necessarily a high usage guy, but he's not a high price tag guy either. So we're looking at fantasy draft, and he's only 7.7. That's $1,700 off of min salary. So he's a guy that I'm going to probably use to plug in there to get some of that value in, and I'm expecting a decent little rebounding game. I expect more of a defensive effort. Maybe he picks up a couple of those blocks and steals, he's good for. So I think Tucker and Harden would be my main plays over there on Houston's side. If you want to play Capella, I don't mind it. I think it's a good matchup for him. We know that the Bucks are pretty poor against interior defense. So I do think he's an option. But again, I'm going to look to try to get some Drummond in there. On DraftKings, you could play 2 centers. On Fantasy Draft, you could play multiple centers. But again, something's got to give with these price tags. We're looking to get at least 2 of these studs in there, and it's going to be hard to get those middling tier price tag guys in there when we're going stars and scrubs, I think, on this kind of slate.
Yeah, no doubt about it, man. I'm, with fading Drummond more than likely, I'm going to use my money for the 2 big studs here. I just can't, I can't see a winning lineup without Harden and Giannis in there. Just this game sets up too great for both guys. So I'm going to spend most of my cash on those 2 guys. My big value guy is a guy I really like, Daniel House. His role moved up quite a bit with Gerald Green's broken foot, and he led him in minutes in the last couple of preseason games, I think, to really get him some good solid run with the starting group. So, I mean, like you said, you've got to find value here if you want to play some of these studs. There's just no doubt about it. So, those are the 3 guys I'm looking to utilize for sure in this game. The 2 studs of Harden and Giannis, and then House being my value guy.
Yeah, I like the House call. He's been announced he's starting.
House call, I get it. Are you a doctor?
Paging Dr. House. No, I mean, he's going to be in the starting lineup, and minutes equal money. We always mention it. It's not necessarily like he's going to have a massive usage. We're not expecting him to blow the slate up, but at the same time, we do need that value, and he's definitely going to be an option to look at if you want to get that. Coach, I'm just going to tell you, what if I told you I got a nice little shell lineup right now where I have James Harden, Steph Curry, Andre Drummond, and Giannis in it, all on Fantasy Draft? How would you feel about that?
You can afford to do that?
Oh, yes, I could.
4 stars, 4 scrubs?
Oh,
Holy
yes, I
crap, man.
could. I think
Good Lord.
I think.
Who do you have in there for your 8th guy? Dan Bespris?
Oh no! I mean, if you've been following us during the preseason, there's gonna be a guy later that I'm gonna be getting to that I've kind of been just riding all preseason long. I think that we're gonna have some value available. One guy that we already talked about that Atlanta game, but we're looking at guys. I think if you're gonna do that stars and scrub, you have to look at that potential upside, and I think we have guys available in that. I didn't mention Jabari Parker and DeAndre Hunter. They're both fair price, 74, 7,500 on Fantasy Draft. Not expecting massive games from either one of them. But, foul trouble happens to guys, and this is a game, like you said, Detroit is on a back-to-back. It will be a high-paced game. So I think that's a good option to try to get some of your value if you wanted to look at those guys. They're not must-plays. I do like P.J. Tucker probably a little bit more than both of them. And then there's going to be another guy like a little bit more than both of them later on that we'll get to. But, again, hey, if it means getting 4 of those guys in there, I will play Jabari Parker. I got no problem with it.
That's beautiful. Yeah. I mean, if you can just hit on 2 of those 4 guys decently with the 4 big boys in there, I think, you're going to be right. I mean, that you can't beat that for 50-50s or head-to-heads too, because it's going to be hard to jam all 4 of those guys in, but that's beautiful. And that's part of the awesomeness of fantasy draft is, the positionality isn't an issue, and you can jam guys into spots and really develop a whole different build for yourself. But awesome stuff, man. But, specifically, on these slates, when teams like Detroit are playing back-to-backs, definitely listen to us throughout the day. Check this out in the morning, afternoon, whatever, and then jump on Twitter. I'm at Joe Sarvadi, JoeSarvadi. He's at Mike Apotria, Mikeapotria. Our third guy, Andrew's at Language Olympic. And then it's at Hoopball Fantasy. We've got our guys, Miles and Andy, jamming in all the moves at hoop-ball.com on the DFS thread for the forums. So keep an eye on us throughout the afternoon because, as news breaks, like Jimmy Butler was late news today. He was a late scratch for personal reasons, and that shuffles everybody's lineup. So you got to stay on top of that stuff, or your slate's dead before you get going. And FanDuel and Fantasy Draft do not have you can't swap after locks. So you got to get this right on the first go. So listen to us definitely throughout the day. Reach out if you have any questions. We'll be happy to get to as many of those as we can. And also, again, we really feel like we bring the best free content in the industry out there 7 days a week. And we're able to do that, because of our sponsors, Fantasy Draft, Hoopball, and the whole team. And, we appreciate, as you tune in to us on iTunes, Google Play, Stitcher, Podbean, iHeart, Spotify, YouTube, all the different entities where you can reach us for podcasts. Take that extra second, rate, review, subscribe. Those 5 stars, likes, thumbs up, they mean a lot to us and really help keep this free content available to you. So we appreciate that, man.
Yeah, and while we're at it, and since we're cruising through this, I wanted to give a shout out to Hawaiian Islands Kona Coffee.
Yes.
This is the coffee that's in my cup every morning. These guys are phenomenal. All of our podcast shows are, also brought to you by them as well. I would say check out their website at hawaiianisles.com, or you can just go on Amazon, search Hawaiian Islands Coffee. That's generally how I buy mine, is on Amazon. Or go tweet them at HI Kona Coffee, Kona, I'm sorry, COFFEE. And also mybookie.ag. Use the promo code today. TODAY, on my bookie, and they'll match up to your first deposit by $1,000. So this is, we're getting our sponsors over here, Coach, and we got to give them their reads because we don't just let anybody sponsor us. We only let the people sponsor us that we really buy into and we really believe. So I wanted to give these guys a good shout out. I'm a big fan of their products, and it's well worth it. I would say check them out. We haven't steered you guys wrong yet, so I'm steering you in this direction right now.
Absolutely, man, and I appreciate that for sure. We do appreciate all of them. That's why we're able to bring this forward. So do support those sponsors. I also want to give. There's some great news too. Fantasy Draft, is going to continue to sponsor the Coaches Challenge, the weekly competition that we have here that has a 200 max entry, and we are growing. We're expecting, well over 100 next week. We're going to do that every Wednesday. So next Wednesday, the 30th of October, will be our second Coaches Challenge contest. It's only $2 to get in. You can enter up to 6 times. And big shout out to our first winner, Derek Robertson. He is the winner of the contest. He pocketed $60 and a nice swag tee from Fantasy Draft. So jealous about the tee, man. I want to get one of those. And big shout out to our man Andrew, the language Olympian himself, with a second place step finish for the Hoop Ball Pro. Definitely way better than you and I did.
We got smoked.
So he's yes. Although for me, I finished one spot ahead of at Mike Apotria.
Why don't we talk about that Dwight Howard bet, Coach? Why don't we talk about that Dwight Howard?
You cannot take pride in Howard over McGee when they both had like 4 points and pride. 5 rebounds.
I'll take my pride. We tied up that chicken soup. So I'll take my pride on that all day long. And, I just want to bring it up because we were talking about it a little bit before the show. This Nets game, overtime game just ended. Kyrie Irving, 50 actual points, Coach. 50 points.
50 real points for
8
Kyrie.
rebounds, 7 assists. Absolutely. Let me just tell you, I got a couple lineups with Drummond, Kyrie, and Towns in it. Towns finished with 36 points, 14 boards, 3 steals, 3 blocks.
You're bringing something big down.
Well,
buddy.
We're going to need some of my value to hit because Kleber's not getting me to where I wanted to be. I played once I saw the starting lineup, I actually pivoted off of a little bit of the Tyler Hero. I expected some high ownership on him. I actually went to Kendrick Nunn, who outperformed him, and he was only 3,200 on DraftKings. And then I also played we mentioned it yesterday. A little bit of a risky one, but I played some Kent Bazemore to get those 3 guys in there because he was only 4K. So those were my main value plays that I used to get these studs in there. And then I kind of went middle of the road with the rest of it. So I'm doing well right now, but I'm going to need Kent Bazemore to at least get me 3 or 4 steals tonight. That's something I always kind of anticipate when I play him. He's a very boomer bust guy, so I'm going to have my fingers crossed on this, Coach. I'm going to keep my eye on it.
Dude, I think you're going to take down something big, but that still doesn't give you the right to skip by the fact that I beat your ass in the Coach's Challenge. So you can skip by it as fast as you want, but I beat you this week, and I'm going to beat you next week, dude. That's all there is to it.
We'll see.
But we both need to at least save face with Andrew. I don't even. You get to do the show with him tomorrow. He's going to be talking some noise, I think.
Nah, you know what? I'll jump on board. I'll say, Andrew, you did a fantastic job. Let's just talk bad about Coach while I got you on the show. Just get it out of the way like that. Oh, you know what, Coach? We were talking before the show about what our other bet was, and I remembered it now.
Yeah,
I did remember it. Yep, I remember it now, and you're losing it.
Oh no!
It was a point per minute. Thomas Bryant versus Kristaps.
Yes, you're right.
Thomas Bryant, 14 points, 10 boards right now in 28 minutes. Kristaps, 24 minutes, 17 points, 4 boards, 1 steal, 1 block. Pretty close,
it's not over.
actually. It's not over, absolutely not. But again, that point per minute, we're looking at Thomas Bryant, who is coming in $1,600 cheaper than Kristaps on DraftKings that night. So
I'm going to need a good second half from Kristaps for sure. But I'm not counting that one dead yet. That'll be big. I don't want to go down 2-1.
Oh, yeah. All that smack talk in the preseason. And
I should have
listen,
quit at 1-0 like I was
you shut
planning
up.
on.
Maybe after tonight, maybe I'll quit after I'm 2-1. Let's see.
Oh, don't count out Kristaps. The big fella he's gonna get smoking hot here in the second half. I believe it. Awesome, dude. All right, well, let's get through the third game so we can go watch a little Kristaps Splash 3 action here and finish up the slate with the LA Clippers and Golden State Warriors.
Yeah, so I mentioned another value play that I'm gonna have some exposure to just to get. I'm fantasy draft. I'm getting 4 of these studs in, without a doubt. I mean, I'm sitting here building shell lineups while we're on this pod, and Mo Harkless is a guy that I'm gonna have in a ton of my lineups. Again, I'm expecting some decent run from him. He didn't start last game, but he still played a boatload of minutes. Played 29 minutes in the last game, so he's another guy I'm going to use to get my value in. I think he's a good matchup when we're talking about a team like the Warriors who would rather play small if they could. So I think Harkless will get some decent run. And I hate to pivot back to other games, but the more I think about it, the more I need value, the more I'm kind of getting drawn back to that Pistons game. I think I might be looking at a little Tim Frazier in that game too. He's just dirt cheap, and I'm expecting Reggie Jackson to sit after just seeing how much pain he was in. So if I have to play a little Tim Frazier, I just wanted to mention it because
I love that call, man. I love it, and I'm going to be on it as well because, they're not going to push Rose. I mean, he's old, and like you said, Jackson should be out. And Frazier had a monster game in the preseason. I love it. Great call, man.
He's a great point per minute producer. He's a guy that he's not a really great actual basketball player. I'm not gonna say he's bad at basketball. He's in the NBA. I probably couldn't play a bench warmer in a Division III college, so I'm not gonna sit here and say he's bad at basketball, but. He's definitely a better fantasy player than he is a real life player, and he's able to get rebounds and assists at the guard position very highly. Not the best scorer, but again, he's near a min salary. He's 6,100 on fantasy draft, and he's going to be probably one of those guys I use to get the rest of my studs in the lineup. But back to this game that we were talking about, obviously, I think Kawhi Leonard, Montrezl Harrell are both in play. Lou Williams will be in play. We're not going to be able to get all these guys. A lot of those,
right.
2 guys are middle of the road guys, and it's going to be tough to get them in my lineup if I'm going a little bit of stars and scrubs. So I think I'm mostly in this game. I'm going to be looking at Kawhi Leonard. I'm going to be looking at Mo Harkless. And I think that's kind of where I'm going to draw the line. You could look at Patrick Beverley just because he gets up for these types of matchups, guarding Steph Curry.
Right.
But again, when it's these types of matchups and he's guarding a guy like Steph Curry on the 3-point line, a lot of the value we get from Beverley is hit those weird 6 to 8 rebounds in those games. So I'm not expecting him to get a ton of rebounds if he's going to be out on the 3-point line guarding Steph Curry. So I just wanted to throw that in there. I know a lot of people will probably just go to him because he's a fair price. He's going to play good minutes in this game, but a lot of that's going to be used on the defensive end. So that's kind of where I'm at with the Clippers, and I think over on Golden State, it's the usual suspects. We're looking at Draymond, we're looking at Curry. I don't think I want too much to do with Russell. Now that we're in the regular season, I kind of just want to see this team get acclimated a little bit more. He kind of finally caught up and started knocking down shots in that final preseason game. But that doesn't necessarily mean he's going to keep it rolling, and this isn't necessarily going to be a good defensive matchup for him. So that's kind of where I'm at, and I think Kevon Looney's definitely in play as well. He should start center. Willie Cauley-Stein is still out, so I think those are going to be my main targets in this game. But again, there's not a chance I don't go stars and scrubs on this slate.
I don't blame you one bit. For me, I think I'm going to be in the contrarian position of fading Curry just because of Beverly, and I feel like there's going to be some distribution of the ball here with some of the other guards, and I'm going to go with 2 other guards from Golden State. I'm going to go with D'Angelo. I think he steps up and has a really good game, and Jordan Poole is going to be my sneaky guy that gets decent minutes and is really good at DFS. Points per minute guy, super cheap. And let's face it, I mean, we can give you the 2 stars from every team, but you can't fit them into your lineup because of salary. So we got to give you what we're looking to build on. So I'm looking at Russell and Poole and Looney. I think Looney, even in a 25 to 28 minute stretch, can put up some good numbers. I much prefer him over Marquise Chris. He was sort of the preseason darling, but I think he'll come back down to earth quite a bit. And then on the Clipper side of the ball, I definitely like Montrezl Harrell. I think he'll, I know he was up for that first game and had a good game, but his motor's always the same. And I think, points per minute, you can't ever go wrong with Montrez. And then, I think Kawhi gets enough run that he's got to be in your lineup unless, he would be the star, the first star that I'd cut base on salary, but hopefully I can jam him in there. I'm really going to try to fit him. And if I have to pivot off of Kawhi, I'll go to Lou Williams. He'll definitely be a little bit cheaper. But those will be my main plays. And I think, with somewhat of a stars and scrubs as well, maybe not quite as extreme as yours, we'll try to put together a competitive lineup. It's so weird coming off an 11-game slate back to a 3-gamer. It's like, okay, we got to really think of this slate completely differently when it's with so many less games,
Yeah, absolutely. You have to take a completely different approach, and we mentioned this in the preseason. Your slate is going to dictate how you build your lineup. So I'm definitely kind of with you. I mean, I did do a little research before the game, and I was looking at necessarily what that Curry Beverly matchup looked like last year, and for two of the games that they faced, Curry actually. We went off one game for 40 points, and in that same game, we saw Kevin Durant have 35. And we have to factor in that, Beverly didn't start those games. He played 25 minutes, but it's not like they had another bad defender that was on him in the starting lineup. Avery Bradley was playing in that game, played 30-plus minutes. I still think it's Steph Curry at the end of the day. Not necessarily like a lock and load, like you have to play Steph Curry. I would prefer and Harden and even Drummond at his price tag coming in at a much, much lower salary, 23 fantasy draft than Steph Curry. So I told you I want 4 of these studs no matter what. So I definitely think that's going to be one of the options I go into. So listen, we have plenty of opportunities to take with these studs. It's going to be hard, especially on a 3-game slate, because if you miss out on the one that just goes buck wild, you're not gonna cash. It's that plain and simple because it's such a small slate that you need to really get these studs right. So that's kind of my approach in using the stars and scrubs, because I just don't see, a guy like D'Angelo Russell or Chris Middleton or Bledsoe or, maybe Trae Young, but even Trae Young is pretty high priced, 15.8 on fantasy draft. I just don't see them necessarily breaking the slate. And you got to look at the guys that could break a slate, and it's your Hardens, it's your Currys, it's your Giannis, and it's your Drummonds. Yes, Kawhi can do it. But, we saw Kawhi had a great game last game, but he still pretty much just got a little bit overvalued. I'm looking for slate breakers, and that's kind of the options I'm really looking at. I don't think we need to really go dumpster diving with your Landry Shamet's or any of those types of guys. I think you might be getting a little bit too cute if you do. Just because I think, going with your guys like Tim Frazier or your Mo Harkless or your Daniel House at a cheaper salary when they're guaranteed minutes, and they're going to be in high tempo games. We got to remember this Clippers defense is real. Even without Paul George, they're a very good defensive team. We saw them give the Lakers some fits. They were able to shut down Anthony Davis on the post for most of the game. And when their offense needs to score, they could score. I think they dropped 40 points on them in one quarter. So that's kind of my approach I'm taking with most of this slate. And another value, a play that you could look at, and I don't think it's more of a cash value play than a GPP. I hate going back to games, but as I'm sitting here, I'm looking, I'm building, I'm tinkering a little bit. We know Wesley Matthews is going to be starting, and he's only 6,900 as well on fantasy draft. So he's probably going to be on Harden a lot, and that's going to be taking a lot of his defensive effort, and that might limit him on the offensive end, using all of his energy guarding James Harden. But he's going to be playing minutes. He's probably going to play at least, I would expect, 30, especially in this matchup where they need him to guard Harden. So he's definitely an option. I'm not going to cross him off.
No, I wish you luck on him. He will not make my lineup, but more power to you. You got to get some value somewhere. I think what I wanted to mention before we close out is you'll see this being a big theme with me this year, fading like the two most expensive, high-priced, high-owned guys against the Clippers on a regular basis. That's why I'm looking to fade Curry and Draymond tomorrow, because the Clippers, even without George, their team defense is fantastic. And yes, they have a few great defenders like Kawhi and Beverly and such, but their team defense in general, their other guys are really good defensively too, and they make up I think just a really tough matchup for guys between the pace down and the lockdown D. I'm going to try to get that advantage as much as I can when the big price guys go against the Clippers. I believe in their defense that much. And Doc's got them all sold out. If you saw Harrell and guys like Jermichael Green and even a Patrick Patterson and stuff just D'ing up better than I've ever seen them before. When you're around defenders like that, you tend to defend better. And I think that's a narrative I'm going to be looking to use a lot this year.
Yeah. I mean, 100%. You don't need to cheat off your guy as much and do that, that double team help on like the cut throughs and on the post. So I agree with you on that kind of aspect that, it does help having a great team defense. You kind of just sit there and key on your guy and you don't need to worry as much about the help defense. So, that is great. When you have guys like that on the Clippers who could just literally, they have like three guys that can just completely make a guy look abysmal. We've seen them do it in the past plenty of times. And we didn't mention Montrezl Harrell. I mean, I talked about him a little bit. He had a huge game, played a boatload of minutes in the opener against the Lakers. So, I
like him. I like him
too. This matchup is a good one for him. I do think he's going to get another good burn. But he's probably going to be fairly high owned. I expect that. So, proceed with caution. Don't expect that kind of same, I guess, workload that he got last game. It was a massive workload. But he's in play. I told you I made a shell lineup right now. It involves him, Giannis, Drummond, Curry, and Harden. So if that's my 5 base and I'm throwing in a few scrubs with it, who I know are going to play close to 30 minutes, give me it all day long.
Beautiful, man. Well, cool. I mean, I hope your guys are doing well down the stretch here, because I love your build in those early games. So, man, I'll be rooting for you. I got to make sure and get Chris Stapps through here to get my my lead back to 2-1, because I'm off tomorrow. Definitely join tomorrow night's show for the slate that Mike and Andrew will be handling is the Friday slate of 9 games. So that'll be awesome. Those two guys will tackle that really well tomorrow, and definitely tune in and listen to those guys for sure. But great stuff, man. Good show. Good take. You'll be back home here this weekend, right? I know you're traveling.
Yeah, so I've been in Baltimore since Monday, and I will be back like pretty late tomorrow. Almost like I'll be walking in my house, so I'm taking a train ride home, so that's good. So I can get some research done while I'm on the train.
Is it the money train? Yes, the money train.
It's the money train I'm riding, the business class, coach, after the winnings tonight. So
nice.
I'll be getting that concierge help, bringing me a nice beer while I'm sitting there connected to the free Wi-Fi, eating some good food, hopefully. But yeah, no, I think I'll be able to I'll get my research done. I'll probably be walking in, jumping on the show right away. And then we're just going to hit the grind. I mean, me and Andrew are going to have a lot of junk to talk about you, so I got to get some of that information ready and kind of build that up as well. So it's going to be a rough day tomorrow, but yeah, I'll be back. It was pretty fun out here, man. I never been to Baltimore. I got to go, I visited the stadium. I was walking. I'm actually, like, the hotel I'm staying at's maybe a stone's throw away from, Camden Yards. So I got to look at both stadiums. I got to go look at the Ray Lewis and Johnny Unitas statues, which are pretty cool.
It's not a shithole, as our president stated.
Yeah. No, it's a beautiful city, honestly. I mean, it's fun. It's very fun. I love these kinds of cities, man, where it's just everybody is just nightlife is booming. People are always kind of out and doing their thing, and I'm having a great time here, man. I'm here on work, but I'm getting to enjoy myself a little bit. And, for me, give me the room in my hotel, watching the games. I got a World Series on, and then I got the basketball games on my laptop. You can't beat this, man. I can't beat this, man.
Especially when your guys are knocking out 80 fantasy points per guy. Good God, go for it.
Actually, let's
brother.
go get a little update before we just jump off, because I know Thomas Bryant and Chris Stapps are at the same amount of stats, so suck it. It looks like I'm taking this one home, baby. And then looking at the Blazers, I just got to go check my boy Kent Bazemore, and hopefully we got something brewing with him. Does not look like it.
The stars and scrubs theory is always a punch in the gut with one of the scrubs.
It's tough.
Happens.
It's tough. But
yeah, well, get them home. It's not over. Still lots of game left.
Oh, plenty of game, and I'm not completely tanking over. He's a guy that he can easily rack up 2 or 3 steals in 2 or 3 possessions, and all of a sudden that's a 6, 7, 8 point swing, whatever it may be, and all of a sudden you're looking at something big. So that's kind of why, if I'm gonna go with a cheap scrub like that, they got to have the upside. Plain and simple. I need to know that they have that sort of upside in them. Otherwise, playing these 4K guys that, best case scenario, you're getting 19 points. That's not going to win you a GPP unless you absolutely smash every other spot. So, always take that into account, a player's upside, depending on the tournament you're playing in. Those 19, 20-point guys at that price tag are okay during your cash games because you just needed them to get you there. You don't need a ton. Bazemore scored. There we go. He's on the board. 1 for 3. Let's go. Yeah. So I'm going to be monitoring this game.
Man. Good. Anything else in closing?
I think that's it, man. I think we hit it. This already ran longer than probably what we expected. But
no worries.
I think
we want to make sure and bring every angle to it that we can. And I know you and Andrew are going to crush this 9-game slate tomorrow. So I'll be listening in for some knowledge to put in my lineups for sure. So I know you guys will do great.
Yeah, I hope so, man. I think we will. At the end of the day, Andrew's a good guy, man. He knows his stuff. We wouldn't be doing this without him if he didn't. Plain and simple. He knows his stuff. And listen, I'm gonna be taking a 4-hour train ride. So believe me, this was an on the fly podcast. We did do our research, but we did have to go back and kind of once you actually start building your lineups, seeing how everybody fits. It's a whole different scenario than just kind of looking at the slate based on prices and matchups and all that. So I'm gonna have
we're gonna talk through like we did tonight, and bring stuff up to each other and brainstorm, and hopefully it gives some thoughts to the listeners out there. And between everything, we've never claimed to have every answer, but we want to try to at least bring up the possibilities, and then everybody can put together a winning lineup. That's hopefully the plan.
Yeah, and I mean, I forgive me for not remembering your name, and I apologize. And I'm sure you're going to be listening to this after we just helped you win $5,000. But shout out to the guy that just took down a $100 GPP by himself. That's incredible, man. What a way to start the season, cashing in on a $5,000 tournament. Giving us the shout out and thanking us for helping you out, man. That's why we do this.
How about that?
I got smoked on that night. I'm not gonna lie. You guys saw my lineup. I didn't do too great. I didn't. I maybe won close to my buy-ins back. I definitely lost. I wasn't in the positive on that night. But it makes it all worth it when I know I can help somebody else out. So that's what we're here for. And at the end of the day, you're building your own lineups. Yes, use our advice. Take it with a grain of salt at the same time. It's your decision when you're locking these in. And he made all the right calls, man. Congrats, man. Enjoy it. Spend that wisely.
We want to see that, and give us that info on Twitter so we can show some love. The more info we get, we'll retweet, and we got to celebrate the victories.
All right, guys. Well, I think we might have lost Coach. It happens, but hey, I appreciate everybody listening. Follow us on Twitter. I'm at Mike Apotria, MikeApotria. Andrew definitely is going to be on the show tomorrow. You want to follow Andrew at Language Olympic. That's LanguageOlympic. And of course, follow Coach, man, at Joe Sarvadi. That is JoeSarvadi. Ask us your questions, rate and review the podcast. And we'll just keep this content going, guys. I mean, at least we lost them at the end, but we'll be back tomorrow covering the 9-game slate with Andrew. So tune in and.
This has been a Hoop Ball presentation.